we're doing well today. It's the 12th of the 3rd, 2020, at nearly 20 minutes past 2 in the afternoon. So you've got a different picture today. The picture today is Lucy Lou. So that's cool. Enjoy that. She's my pretty girl, my lovable Lucy. So that's your photo for today. Right, now, something I was saying yesterday is about not being offended. Well, it's actually today, really, because if you look at it, I think that would be the top-up one, which I think could be today. Yeah, just after 12. So it counts as today's video, but it's actually yesterday's. That's about not being offended or taken offence by what is said to a group of people, that whether you're involved in that group or not, what on earth are you doing taking offence to it? Well, there's a situation that I was notified of today on Twitter. I just looked through the comments and there was an interesting comment there, and I watched the video in the end. It says, as part of his first budget, Chancellor whatever has abolished the so-called tampon tax and VAT, etc., on digital books, newspapers, etc. Foreign news campaigner Laura Coryton spoke with Julia Hart-Brewer. Now, this Laura then goes on to use language such as period tax. And for people, she says, for people that have periods. Now, Julia then starts saying, oh, you mean women and girls? And this Laura then got quite offended by that. Saying, oh, no. And Julia said, what, are you saying that men can have periods? And then Laura astonishingly said, yes. That men who don't have a uterus can have periods. Because, of course, if the man identifies himself as a woman and believes he has a uterus, then it means he can have periods. Eh? Really? The insanity of that argument, and you're getting offended because of an argument that is completely and utterly insane. How on earth are you getting offended over something so ridiculously stupid? And then the person, this Laura Coryton, I will include the video, and I will include this lady's Twitter page in the end of this video, because it's appropriate. Yeah, have a look at the comments she's made. Because she then said on her own Twitter page, I had an experience on the radio this morning. The presenter completely overlooked the ending of the tampon tax and instead aired a transphobic rant. Now, if you listen to the video, you'll know that that's complete nonsense. What this woman is claiming is a lie. Now, the presenter did not overlook the ending of the tampon tax. That's how they first got into the discussion about whether men can have a period. She did not air transphobic rant at all. She basically said only women can have periods. So that's not exactly transphobic. Then this young lady, I think she's about 27, then said, I'm left feeling confused and angry. If you stand for equality, you do so for everyone. This is a win for everyone. Then she used the word period at the end. So, my goodness me, young lady. I mean, years ago, the belief was that women had tiny little brains. But this woman seems to be trying to live up to that belief. She's trying to prove that she has a tiny little brain. I'm not offended by what this woman said. I'm just amazed by the level of stupidity. And this woman is someone who's counted as herp enough that if you search for her on Google, you find her Twitter page and other things, because she's that sort of lifted up. by speaking up. She's an author, apparently. She wrote a book called Speak Up, something like that. It's insane that someone who can lie so easily. I mean, but then again, she is she would class herself as a feminist, even though I think the feminist movement would probably say she's not. But she's a leftist feminist. So therefore, any argument that doesn't actually fit hers, she will happily lie about it because that's what they do. They won't just hold it. This Julia Hartley Brewer smashed me today. I come up with some stupid argument and she trounced me. She made me look stupid. She's hardly going to say that on her own Twitter page, is she really? She should. It would humble her. It would actually be helpful to keep her and even the people that follow her humble. To say, we all make mistakes. But I don't think you're going to see that from her today. So, but that was just a prime example of what I was saying yesterday about how people can do this and get into great levels of stupidity who are doing that. But look, just because our Twitter page is there, will be on this video, the description. Don't go harassing this woman. Okay, there's no need to do that. She is going to cause enough problems for herself with the stupidity that she comes out with. Pray for her. Don't harass her. She needs help. She needs God to help her, to get out of this rubbish and to focus on the things that really matter, which is not any of this stuff. And to be honest, the trans community is more than capable of speaking up for itself. They don't need her coming up and lying about a reporter or presenter in a transphobic rant, because that is just not the case. So anyway, I will include that in the description. But just pray for the lady. She needs it. She needs help. And pray for Julia as well, because even though she was right on this case, I don't know whether she's saved. She probably isn't. So pray for her. She would come across as more right wing, even though I wouldn't necessarily say she's right wing. She just comes across as a very no nonsense sort of person, which I like. I do like that. She doesn't seem to muck around. She seems to get straight to the point. The way society is going now about saying that there's no genders, that biology doesn't matter. Well, she doesn't put up with that. She says, no. Gender still exists. Biology still matters. We've had thousands of years of biology. It's mattered. Gender has mattered since the beginning of time, and so we're not going to suddenly throw it out because it might offend a few people. And I support that. I say, yeah, she's right. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't support anything that's Laura Coryton would ever say. I haven't supported anything that I heard her say today, but doesn't mean I wouldn't support anything she says. Now, we move on to another point for today's talk, and that is your journey. If you're going to go from this broken person that you are, or that you probably are, as most of us are, we're still broken to a large degree. But if we're going to go from that to a vessel that God can use, that is more or less brand new, we're going to have to go through a journey. Years ago, I think, 20 years ago, it was around about the year 2000. I was living in a YMCA, and there was a chap there who saw himself as somewhat of a singer-songwriter, and I sort of knew him. And he was struggling a bit, so he'd come and ask me for help. He asked me to write some songs for him. So I wrote one called Shake Me, Break Me, Make Me. It's a Christian song. And I have no idea what happened to that. Don't care no more. But I continued over the years to pray that God would shake me, break me, and make me. Because the picture that God gave me as what we are like as Christians that come out of the world is the perfect example would be the gardens we've got just here. I'm in the basement flat. Upstairs has a garden. Next door has a garden. Upstairs, my place, and next door all used to be one property. The owner of that property used to sometimes repair cars, and any cars that he couldn't repair, he basically buried in the garden. So this garden here would have brickwork in it from when the properties are built, would have bits of iron in it from when the properties are built and from the cars, would have rubber in it, would have all kinds of corrosive materials that would damage the earth, and would have things like ivy climbing up trees, which just kills the trees, would have loads of weeds and rubbish in the grass. So if you're going to make a beautiful garden out of that, you've got to shake it to uncover the stuff that needs to be removed. Then you've got to break it, as in to dig up. And you imagine if your garden had feelings, was a physical being digging up all that stuff, that would be like going for an operation and then digging parts out your body without anesthesia. Now, that's going to be pretty painful. So when God digs out the stuff from our lives that is not good, some of that's going to be quite painful. And we just have to be prepared for it. So the shake me and the break me has been done. So now you've got the make me, which is the point about turning that horrible garden into a beautiful place. There can be a blessing to all who come in contact with it. And of course, that's when you start to see the benefits of it, but you could be looking at 20, 30, 40 years from the point of shake to the point of make. So your terminology might be different, but whatever your terminology, you've got to go on a journey. And there are many people in churches who won't go on any journey. They are not willing to go through that. And so they will be pushed aside. They will be like, if you've got a potter, and that potter has a load of vases that just aren't worth trying with anymore, what do? Chuck them away. They go into the rubbish because they're of no use at all. They go into, just scrap now. That's all they are. Can't do anything with them, so you just chuck them in the bin. You smash them on the floor and chuck them in the bin. And that's what's going to happen with those who aren't prepared to go through the journey. If you don't go through the journey, you don't get made into a vessel that God can use, and therefore you have no works. Faith without works is dead. If you don't have works, you're dead. So, in a way, I would say to people, if you're not prepared to go through that, and if you know you're not prepared to go through that, then stop. Stop going to church. Stop pretending you're a Christian. What's the point? What on earth is the point in pretending you're a Christian, going to church, playing at church? Some people have been playing at church for 30 years. It's getting them nowhere at all. If they had died in that 30 years of playing church, they would have gone to hell. So why? All you're doing is you're only getting in the way of the church moving forwards. And the devil is not going to reward you for that. You're still going to go to hell. You're still going to be punished, and your punishment is going to be horrendous. Because even though you're doing the devil's work, the devil's going to be reminding you for eternity that you were that close, that you were in church, that you were in a place where you had the possibility of giving your life to God, that the knowledge was there. All you had to do is submit to God. You were in that place for 30 years. You had every chance to give your life to God, to go to heaven, to spend eternity in somewhere that would be beautiful, that would be peaceful, that would be lovely. Instead, you're being tortured every day in hell. And that main torture for you is going to be the fact that you were so close to heaven. Now, again, why? I mean, I know someone who's doing it. I know people that do that, and I've tried to speak to them. I've tried to get through to them, but they just don't care. They don't want you to get through. Yeah, it's the reality of they've got, whether it's blinkers, I'm not sure what the right word would be for it, or dumbers. You know, some sort of dumber, something to dumb them down, to make them oblivious to the reality of their situation. You know, you could sit them down, you could explain it bit by bit by bit by bit by bit, come to the conclusion, and they go, "Oh yeah," but then next minute, no difference. They'd say, "Yeah," they recognise it, but they want to do something about it. No, we don't want to do anything about it. Yeah, even though, yeah, you're right, still feel that, yeah, the way I'm doing things, I like it. I like the way I'm doing things. I like the fact I can go to church when I want, and I can have little lovely conversations with people there, and there's nothing really that's going to challenge me, is there? Yeah, I'm not going to be offended by anything that says. That's good. What? Excuse me? Now, even though they're not really saying that, by their actions, they are really saying that. How can you think that way? Yeah, it's like, okay, similar thing. You've got these people who believe that children shouldn't be inoculated against all these nasty diseases from the past, polio and all this sort of stuff. And they go online saying that these things should be ignored, that parents shouldn't do this. But of course, they're then putting everyone at risk. Now, if they come up with an alternative and said, we don't believe in this, this we think is bad because they're pumping drugs into our children, but instead do this, that's going to protect them from these things, then I'd say, okay. But they don't. And many of these people have had situations where their children have been incredibly sick and have got the things that these drugs are supposed to protect you from. And then the parents are saying, oh, why? How did my child get this? Yes, not churchgoers. And we say, well, how did I end up in hell? There I was going to church for 30 years. I was a Christian because I was going to church for 30 years. But you're not a Christian. A Christian doesn't mean you go to church. Not in any way, shape, or form. Church is part of what being a Christian is all about. Part of it. A tiny little part of it. It's supposed to be the place you go to be equipped. That's it. It's not some community centre. It's supposed to be a place you go to be equipped to go into the world and to serve God. You're supposed to go there and be fed, to get the weapons that you need for the spiritual warfare. Well, that isn't happening in most places. All that's happening is that people are being comfortable. It's like the good old days, a bit of community, centre sort of stuff. That's not Christianity, folks. That's not the way that Christianity is supposed to be. We can't argue with God. If God has said that he's going to give these people that are in the way leadership in the way another year, then okay, but they've had 20 years. They've had 20 years. That's a long time they've had already. And 20 years wasn't enough to help them to see that maybe they're not quite going in the right direction. So I'm not really sure what another year is going to do, but okay. It just means you've got to wait another year. Now, thankfully, as you get older, time goes a bit quicker, so the year is going to go fairly quickly now. So, cool. That's fair. Okay. Another year we've got to wait. So, yeah. I checked already today, and my driving situation hasn't been sorted. They would have got the report from my GP Friday. Monday at the latest. It's now Thursday, and they still haven't actually got to it. Gone through it. So it's like, ugh. Either that, or they're going to come back with some ridiculous flipping thing that I've got to go for tests of this, that, or the other, which I don't need. Which is not going to do anything or solve anything. Certainly not in the issue that they're looking at. But yeah, never do know. So this could stretch on for a good 5-6 months. And I've only just bought the car I've got. I'm paying, road tax on a car that I can't even drive. It's insane. I'm tempted to try and sue the DVLA. Very tempted to try and sue them over this. Because it's a crazy situation that at the moment they're getting away with. And at some point, somebody's going to have to sue them to stop them. To make them a little bit more careful about what they do. Because when I phone them up, and this is one of the things that's quite annoying about this whole situation. When I phoned them up, the person I spoke on the phone said, "Oh, but the problem is we get thousands of these reports coming back from GPs every day." Now, the person clearly didn't understand. It's because they are taking away thousands of people's ability to drive. They're revoking thousands of licenses every day. They've made the mess. They are now saying to people, "You've got to understand we need time to clean up the mess." And the mess you made. The mess you quite happily made and will quite happily continue making because you're not being held accountable for this. Somebody at some point is going to have to sue them and sue them big time. Ideally, it needs to be someone who's working and losing out massively through not being able to drive, which isn't me. But somebody's going to have to do it at some point to stop them because they're just going to keep on doing this because they've got no regard for the people that they're affecting. And that's quite common for such agencies. So it's annoying. It really is quite annoying, but that's the way it goes. Nothing I can do about it at the moment. I just check on a daily basis to see if it's been sorted. Because obviously things like going to the gym would be useful if I can drive down, especially because it's quite rainy out there right now. So doing that. Because obviously, if I walk down the gym, it's going to take me 20 minutes longer to get down there, 20 minutes to get back. So I might as well use the relaxation area as well and use the sauna, which means I'm in there for a lot longer. And the problem is, this gym I go to, they are a bit crazy as well. They're trying to pander to everyone, and so they say that kids that are over 8 years old should be allowed into the sauna and the steam room, and kids over 12, as long as they're supervised by the parents, are allowed in the weights area. Now, I try to explain to staff there that first of all, parents can't supervise their children in the weights area unless they're qualified at teaching weight training. because how are they? If they don't understand the stuff themselves, how can they supervise their children what using this sort of stuff? Yeah, it's going to be an accident waiting to happen, really. And the same as the sauna. 8-year-old, you're far too young for the heat of a sauna. So what the leisure centre's done is they've lowered the temperature of the sauna right the way down from where it should be about 80. They've lowered it to 63 degrees so that kids can go in there. So, oh, Jesus Christ. These places are made for adults, not for children. But the reason why the centre's done this is because if they say that kids can't go in, they're afraid that they could be attacked by people on Twitter, Instagram, and etc. etc. So therefore, rather than maybe be attacked by people, let's try and please everyone. When you try and please everyone, you actually end up peeing off nearly everyone. And that's what I say, as Christians, you can't be a people pleaser and a God pleaser because you end up in a mess. If you're trying to please everyone, it's like people that are people pleasers. They try and please everyone. And at some point in time, that's all going to fall apart because they're going to forget who they are to certain people. Like this leisure centre is quite dangerous though because they allow kids in over 8, apparently so long as parents with them, even though they don't supervise it. You don't have a member of staff staying in that area to make sure that you don't get kids going into areas without their parents. So that does happen quite often. Now, tricky thing there is, again, the sauna has a guard around it of a wooden frame, but the wooden frame is lower than the stones of the sauna. So, as most saunas, you've got 2 benches, a lower one and a higher one. Now, if you're on the higher bench and you get a bit dizzy and you're facing the sauna, you're at level position with the sauna, and you get a bit dizzy and you stumble a bit, you put your hands out to try and steady yourself. Where's your hand going to go? Because the guard isn't high enough, your hand's going to go onto the stones of the sauna and you're going to get quite burnt. Again, I've told them and they won't do a thing about it. I don't understand the stupidity of people. And that's why, generally speaking, I don't spend a lot of time with people because the level of stupidity you get with people is astonishing nowadays. Really is amazing that a business like that could survive when they are so incompetently run. It is insane. But because it's that sort of place, because they've got a swimming pool, there are plenty of parents who just need to find something to do with their kids. So, bring the kids into a swimming pool where they've got lots of staff, keep an eye on them while the parents then go into the jacuzzi or whatever. They're always going to have some sort of business, aren't they? But at some point in time, a kid's going to put their hand on something because the steam room's the same. The steam comes out of an area and there's no signs to say where the steam comes out of. Any child could easily put their hand right onto where the steam comes out of and get quite burnt. There's nothing to stop that from happening, and I just don't understand it. I mean, the local council is keeping this place going, but the local council have never done a health and safety check, which is And so when you think about the things that are going on like this, it just blows your mind. How on earth can that be as it is? How can this young lady go on a radio station and then argue the way she argued, but not just that, but then lie about it on Twitter? She's lied about it, and anyone can check out. Oh, that's a good point. She didn't, in her Twitter thing, she didn't actually say what the radio show was. So therefore, she didn't make it easy for people to go and find out her lies. So, good point. I should do that. Yeah, that's something I can do. Yeah, indeed. Oh, insane. People people for you. Yep, but that's the thing. We live in a time when there is a great degree of insanity. People making decisions that just don't make any sense at all. To say the church is that way, it doesn't make sense. With these churchgoers staying in a church, not really giving their lives to God, not really caring that they don't meet with God in church, not being offended by that. I mean, how can you not be offended by that? You call yourself a Christian, you go to church, you're not offended that you don't meet with God. That's insane. We're living in a time when there seems to be a lot of insanity, but it's not insanity, it's just where there's no accountability. People are able to lie and to do things like that, and there's no accountability. So anyway, that would do for today. For this one. I'm not going to try and go any further with that. I'll leave that for now. I don't feel there's any benefit in going further with that situation because I'm just getting. I wouldn't know what to say. I'm just getting sort of wow, that's incredible, amazing stupidity, and nothing I can do about it. So there's no point keep on about it really. Well, you take care. We're living in a mad world. That's a certainty. Keeping your sanity in a world that's a bit mad is not easy. But that's why, as I said previously, if you want to have the sort of relationship with God that Wigglesworth had, then you need to get rid of all the stuff like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. Get rid of it. It's not healthy in the end. It's not good for you because it's just going to drive you mad. That's the reality of the situation. The mad, insane world. And so the title of this one will be something of that sort of thing, mad, insane world. Because at the moment, that's what we seem to be in. And it's not easy. But that's why the light of the Lord is needed. That's why we need Christians to stand up and be seen and be heard. That's why we need to see God glorified in this time. So that people will come to Him and they can be delivered of that insanity. Will you take care? I will speak to you soon. God bless. Bye bye.